Hi friends, good morning. Megaverse. So yeah, I think we are here for a very exciting, interesting session, which I'm sure is going to be super insightful. So basically, the way we will set the tone for this is we have CEOs, founders in the retail industry here with us in this session. What we'll do is, we'll request one CEO or one founder to take 60 seconds and give us their perspective, give us that one insight which they feel has been disruptive, either for them, something that they've done, or something that they've observed has been disruptive for the industry, for the fraternity over the last 1.5 years. We all have come back from COVID, just like kids have come back to school, and we've come back to office from work from home. So I think it'll be very interesting to exactly know what has transpired in the last 1.5 years. You have exactly 60 seconds. We'll keep it short, but we'll make the session really large. Me being from QSR, I've been given the task to be on time. So we exactly have time till 12:30. So Sada sir will obviously guide me and assist me, and I've always looked up to him as a mentor and will continue doing that. But that's how we'll play it, Sada sir. I think we are in a time and space in India where we are blessed to be Indians. I think the current mantra for all of us here is to win Bharat. And win Bharat, win retail in the right manner. So Sadasha, over to you. Let's get this going.
Yeah, so firstly, I heard the last few sessions and the claps and the applause was very thunder. So can we give a big round of applause to each one of you here, please? Yeah. And to all the people who are going to be presenting here. Normally, before the session, in the green room or the speaker's lounge, a lot of excitement happens. What did I see today? I saw the organizer of this show really worried because abhi bhi carpentry ka kaam chal raha tha. So and then I saw, where's Amitabh? Is running around trying to get things organized. I heard someone say, I've launched a coconut water, it's so nice. I heard someone say, Jan, Feb, March was not so good. We are conserving everything for Diwali. Someone said, I've got the best designs, but the conversions are low. So the good part is when you come to a forum like this, the excitement still stays on, and that's a kick we get. So thanks for the lead-in, Sagar. I think really 100 CEOs, please make the applause very large whenever they contribute. Just to kind of make it a little more spicy, I would say, as he said, give one nugget of what you do. We are very conscious that the CEOs here represent a much larger team, a much focused organization behind it. So what you're going to say is really representing organization. I'm going to put two leads. Happy if you can share that. One, I think whatever disruptive you've done, as Sagar mentioned, would be something which your customers would miss. So let's say your core customer has to suddenly leave India and go to Germany or go to Switzerland. What is that person, he or she, going to miss about your retail outfit? So maybe you can say, this is the disruptive thing which I've done, which my customer will miss. Alternately, Sangeeta, what we can also look at, let's say, I'm just pointing out because you're in the throng of fashion really. How would you, I'm sure all of you are aware that the people who are graduating today, who are in their early 20s, are going to be our future customer a decade from now. So what is the disruptive thing you've done today to really attract that customer a decade from now? So I would really put it, Sagar, if it's okay, two ways. One, give us a nugget which you think customers are going to miss if your operation doesn't exist for her, or what is the thing which you've done to really attract the customer for the next decade? So we'll just kind of put that flavor, and if not that, anything which you want to share. So maybe
what you guys could do is, in case you want to talk about the industry, the fraternity, assume that you have to go to a university or a college and give a lecture, and you have to give a headline for that lecture. So what that headline or snippet would be in 60 seconds is what we want to know. And honestly, we've been given the task to anchor this session. But I think with mavericks like you, all of us are going to get anchored to more insightful thoughts, observations, and keep your ears open, guys, because I think this is going to be super interesting.
Yeah, there's a list of names you've been given. I'm sure some of them are still outside, so I'm sure you'll know what it means to kind of come forum like this. We'll read out the names. In case we don't read out some name, bhul chuk maaf. But I think we're just going to go with the list which is mentioned here and then possibly call out. So maybe we can go to the first table itself, and Sangeeta, you want to go in first?
Do we have a mic that is being circulated? Yeah.
I think putting up a headline will be difficult, but I'll just say that to all the people who are looking at 10 years from today, I think a large part of our business will be tech-enabled and run by tech. And I just don't mean by tech in sense of IT system, but I think AI is going to be a very big game changer, especially from a fashion business where we come, where finding small micro trends becomes very difficult. I think AI is going to be a very large part of, so all the people who are passing out of colleges, if that is the message for them, I think they need to start adapting to tech and spend a lot more time understanding what this world is going to be in next 3 to 5 years.
But that beautiful small world of saying, aur dekho, how are you going to make that happen? I mean, tech is there, but it's also cold. The discovery can be cold, right?
I think I will say in next 3 to 5 years, less is more. I think or dekho is okay, but I think it's becoming a little bit smaller. You need to be a lot more sharper focused. I think each store, you need to understand the segmentation and accordingly have the product available rather than having a large assortment, which 50% of that doesn't even contribute to your store. Retail is expensive space, so I think less is more is going to be what is going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years.
You know, we all keep talking about artificial intelligence. Could we change the word artificial to artistic? Because, you know, with chat GPT coming in, would we ever see a retail GPT or a wearable GPT in the house?
It's already happening. You can have AI design half the garments these days for you. I don't think, though I think authenticity of that is a very large challenge and big debate happening around the globe. Who owns the patent for this or who owns the design? But I think it's game changing what we are seeing in terms of artistic also on, and it's too early stages. So I think by the time it matures, next 3 years will be a game-changing perspective in that.
So 3 solid points for the customer of the next decade. 1, less is more. Focus on what the store needs. Tech, and really saying, you know, it doesn't matter what you sell it well. So a round of applause. We'd all promised ourselves, right? Yeah. Make it loud. Yeah. Sangeeta, you want to go in next? What will customers miss about Pantaloons?
I don't know it's about Pantaloons specifically, but I think the brief, the way I interpreted it was a particular insight or an action that held you in good stead in terms of business. So Sada, my example is a business example. Sure. I think rewind back to wave 1 and wave 2 when all of us were going through a reset in terms of our business model, both in terms of deriving top line and addressing cost. At that time, we all optimized and reset our cost base. And for large format retailers like ourselves at Pantaloons or the new format that we've launched, Style Up, we have a very large fixed cost, as many of us in the room would know. And we had optimized off the retail cost, you've got, of course, your rental cost, which is the highest, followed by manpower. So the manpower had been optimized during wave 1 and wave 2, and as the demand started coming back, I think the challenge for us was that when you have reset a base, to add back people was an easy option. But I think kudos to the team which took this upon themselves and said, is this an opportunity to variabilize the large fixed cost that you have? And when you look at all your store analytics, you realize that Monday to Friday is when, on a weekly basis, 49% of your footfall is from Monday to Friday. And about 51% is packed on those 2 days. And we realized with the reduction in manpower, we didn't have enough for the weekends. And therefore, we took this on as a challenge to say, can we think disruptively? Can we think out of the box? And there came the big idea of creating a gig workforce, which came to our stores only on the weekends, right? And it's been difficult. We've been trying to do this for about 18 months. It's taken us a lot of time to perfect it. We had to look for a talent pool within each city. And to your point, I think it was a great win because we needed extra manpower for those 2 days. There is a large talent pool available in cities which is largely college students, people, first jobbers who want to do more and are available on weekends. We had to find that talent. And I think over a few quarters, we managed to do it successfully in one city. a second city, several challenges on training them, onboarding them, getting them to come back again the next weekend. Retention was another bit. But I'm very pleased to share with you that today about 10% of our workforce is now moved to this model, and we've been able to variabilize a significant part of our manpower costs. So this was the idea. I think, so my headline, would be necessity is the mother of invention, and that's what COVID forced us to think out of the box and think disruptively.
Yeah, a big cheer for the humility as well. I don't know Sangeeta Pantaloon style up, big chain of stores, but let's hear what she says. We went store by store, city by city, region by region. I think that's a lot of humility. Great example, thanks a lot. Variabilizing the fixed cost, I think is the headline for me, and it's a fantastic
And
change.
gig workers, I mean.
Yeah.
So from Sangeeta ma'am, we'll move to the guy who runs the Sangeeta brand, Subhash. And I'll request all of you to just quickly introduce yourself in a line.
Yeah, Subhash Chandra here from Sangeeta Mobiles, headquartered at Bangalore, all over South India, and a little bit in Ahmedabad and Goa. We run about 800 stores of mobile. The most difficult, when I look at people like you in QSRs and in apparel, which is that with that fancy gross margins, I envy you all the time. For us, 2% is the benchmark as rent as a percentage of the, the turnover. And around 2.5-3% maximum, including corporate, is the cost that we actually should fall under for manpower cost, salaries. So anyway, but I was also lucky in a way that during COVID, we had good days. In fact, we ran out of stocks. We sold out everything, all unsold inventory, all demo phones, everything got sold out. And we also saved costs on rentals, of course. Anyway, coming to the point, one thing that we were struggling, okay, I'm not exactly answering what you want, but then, yes, online has hit us the most. We are the worst affected. Mobile as a product category has been the worst affected the last 10 years. But we have withstood that. Today, in fact, we were worst affected because it was not a level playing field. OnePlus was available only with Amazon. MI would be available only with Flipkart and Amazon. These sort of things. All those things are the past today. And in fact, many have been wrongly created a very strong impression successfully. Amazon and Flipkart have created that online is really cheap. We can offer cheaper than them and with much better value-added services. And today we have the 2-hour delivery pan South India, anywhere, any town. Sangeeta can deliver in 2 hours if you place an order on sangeetamobiles.com.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Superb.
Yeah, including Ahmedabad and Goa. Yeah.
So you've become quick service phones.
So
But
this is-
very, very, I think, like I say, sir, वो कहते हैं ना कि the grass is always greener on the other side. I think हम जितना भी gross margin का बात कर ले, right? I think I concur with you that ultimately, or for all of us, we all believe that 1 rupee saved is 5 rupees earned, and ultimately the business needs to make money. And with the disruption of e-commerce, I think it's not just your sector, even the F&B sector has got very, very badly disrupted with, very high commissions by the aggregators, X, Y, Z, and now you see that love-hate relationship. But we'll come back to that later. But very insightful. I think the fact that, you could have that delivered in 2 hours and reinvent yourself.
Yeah, post-COVID, we have got this bit beautifully right, and it's just falling in place, and the right place to be for me, especially with the digital, the e-commerce. And
Speed is the need, and you've cracked
yeah,
it.
Yes.
Big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Do we move to the next table? Maybe we'll move to the table in center. Pramod, sir, if let's from a retailer, let's move to a developer.
We in Ambuja, from the very beginning, we have always focused on something whenever we are making a city center mall. We try and see how do we add more value to the society and how do we immerse in such a way that we are part of the community. Nobody should say that this is Ambuja's city center. It's like Amadir city center in Bengal and many places. So we realized that during COVID period, that part was missing. So we are really going to add more and more focus in all our future malls. How do we see that whenever we are planning a mall, then we have to see what the consumers or what the consumers of tomorrow want from the very early morning, whether joggers club to yoga, Zumba, and all that till late evening. Many things which you can do, like what we create when we are creating a mall, we are creating basically a space infrastructure with ample parking and hygiene and many other factors. So the idea, just like Amazon and other platforms, so we will become an aggregator of space, and we'll try and see how do we get the maximum out of it, so that we are able to add not only value to the society, consumer, also to the stakeholders. And if you are engaging customers, if you are creating more and more memorable experience to the consumers, obviously he's going to come back to you again and again. Even if he's going to Germany, he's going to miss. All the youth, when they come to our mall, like whosoever has studied in Calcutta, when they come back to city, even after some time, they try and see that the nostalgia factor they need to relive in. And all. This is the focus which we have already.
So one quick question. You are operating a mall in Calcutta, which is a metro city, and then you're operating in cities like Patna, Siliguri. Any difference, any learning quickly that you can share, or any change in habits? Because personally, that's the real Bharat that we all feel. That's where the juice is.
Every city is different, but overall aspiration is almost the same. Okay, you also know that the Siliguri people are more fashion conscious. Okay, Patna we have recently opened, and the kind of response, the kind of numbers, and the kind of engagement which we are seeing. Like, we were surprised to see the digital engagement or social media engagement in Patna. It was really, really very big surprise to us, and which is also resulting in numbers. Like recently we did an event which was around startup get together, and the kind of feedback and the kind of customer, kind of investor which the startup people got from the mall event was also amazing. So we are similarly going to do, with NIFT. How do we see? As I said, we have a mall, we have a space, we have got footfall, and every customer, like even a startup guy who needs some, to talk directly to the consumer, and he doesn't have to approach anybody else. And in the mall when they're going.
Sir, can we look at mall, and this is to all developers, can we look at a small space carved out for startups where when they start, when they're bootstrapping, spaces come more reasonable, but can we all look at, something like a startup corner?
We should
certainly. Just a food for thought.
Yeah, we have.
Honestly, when I began, I never had that advantage. That time there was nothing on a Startup India also. But today, when we talk about Startup India, if we can have that, it will be super helpful.
Yeah,
but
we have thought of it. We will certainly be doing it.
Super. We'll move to Shibu, sir. The Lulu guy.
Hi, good morning. My name is Shibu. I'm from the Lulu Group. When COVID happened and everything, we realized that the need of the hour was to ensure that all the consumers, and we had a loyal base of consumers, all the things are understood and fulfilled. So our entire loyalty team and all started reaching out to our loyalty members and started asking them what they need. And we ensured that the backend team, because obviously more than a developer, we are a retailer. We run the hypermarkets, we run the fun centers in the cinemas. So we knew that this is a time to reach out to the customer. It happened. On an average, 8,000 people were visiting us in COVID time, peak COVID time, when then the entire India was shut. And then after, when we opened back, these are the consumers who came back to us. And today, if you look at it, sales-wise, obviously brands have grown 20%. But one thing we learned in that every mall cannot only depend on the brands to pull customers to the mall. The mall itself needs to become a destination and pull its consumers, because obviously, like the earlier speakers mentioned, retailers were also driving customers offline from the malls. So now how do we as a mall sustain? So we started understanding, reaching out to customers through our programs, loyalty programs, and through the type of activities like the Pramod said, we started creating malls which had these large open spaces where we created activations to become destinations, and that's a complete destination was something created. We started understanding the needs of every customer through our loyalty programs, through the social media engines. We started reaching out to them with the offers, and that relationship we started creating with the consumers, and I believe that that's the need of the hour, and we also developed far superior shopping centers, which is how we only ground plus one model, like the way it enhances the way consumers visit large 22-meter corridors. So I believe that when you see the current convention center where we are currently sitting, these large convention centers actually really tells the people that India has convention centers like Singapore. So like the same way we started creating shopping centers in Lucknow or in Trivandrum, which can match any shopping center in the world. And that is something we started understanding that that's a need of the hour. And like you, sir, Sarshi sir said, people will start saying that we don't have to go out for shopping centers. And obviously now brands are also doing an amazing job. They reinvented the wheel. They started doing big shops. And you know, our shopping centers can actually help them create that. So becoming a destination for a shopping center is very important, not only with that, but also in the minds of the consumer. And they need to have a connection with your shopping center for every need of shopping, but more from a destination angle where their experiences can be curated. I think that's what we learned during this COVID time.
Sure. So I'm just building, we began with technology, then we began with experiences, your Pramodji said, and you're mentioning the same thing now at a much larger scale because your malls are larger. Suppose I'm one of the tenants there, one of your partners there, who's not really fully at pace with what you expect. How do you bring that change in me? I'm very curious to know.
So what happens here is that, these are something which we now talk to people. Now, there might be challenges in every other city where you go. And like most said, that every city doesn't behave the same way. It might be that there's a challenge with premium fashion in some centers. Now, obviously, there is a need to curate activations with consumers, reach out to customers. Today, influencers in social media play a big role in that, and then curate it. It's a hand-holding session again there, but every India is consuming, and it might be that they consume faster in F&B and entertainment, and then start consuming the fashion. But it is a consumption which happens. But in sub-city, everything happens normally. But like the way now we are opening centers in the Bharat, in the tier 2 and tier 3 centers. So it's a hand-holding session which is happening, and that's what we do with every retailer also.
Fantastic. A round of applause, please.
Lulu, sir, one more quick question. I think Lulu Hypermarket was the biggest disruption when you opened your Lulu malls. And I think now you're also opening the hypermarket in some other partner malls. We see the advent of e-commerce, quick commerce coming in. Is Lulu Hypermarkets looking at any kind of online e-grocery kind of a mechanism? Because the demand is massive.
It is already there. And so in the centers we operate, we have an online delivery, we have an e-commerce platform. But obviously, our more focus is on our offline experience. But then it's a need of the hour. In markets like Bangalore, we are having a e-commerce platform which also does delivery online.
It's not there in Cochin at the moment?
It's there in Kochi also. All the centers have it now.
Thanks, sir. Thanks.
So we'll move to the other side, Rajneesh. I think same two questions for you. I think at least I've grown up on a mall like yours, and I'll always miss the food court there, right? So really, if you can build on the points already raised in terms of saying, what are people going to miss if suddenly I'm not there in close to your mall? And the second one is really curious to me. What are you doing to really attract the customer of the next decade? What is the disruptive thing which you're doing there?
So I think our business is far more stable business because all infrastructure, and so we don't want to disrupt too many things. It is very expensive to disrupt things in our set of business is concrete. The one thing which helped us in last 1 year, and when we see the growth, infrastructure upgrade to make it young and premium helped us a lot. So the centers were in the cycle of renovation. We saw the maximum. Thank you. We saw the maximum growth coming there. So making the infrastructure look young and premium is what we are looking at as a learning. And wherever our cycle of renovation is coming in, we will be bringing that in. From a concept where the consumer is going to miss something, I think in India, the urban consumer is missing a good social space. And while it is a large food court or any large atrium or a good mall with a sense of space, is something which consumer is attracted to. So, and globally when I travel, I see the malls which are very successful. They have two things very strongly engraved in their design. One is simplicity. They don't try to do too much. They keep the floor and the ceiling as simple as possible. And they create sense of space as much as they can. And at times they compromise retail area to create the sense of space. And I think that's where we are heading in terms of our design in future malls. And the third thing which I think we are doing in our designing is creating a lot of social spaces which are not necessarily driven by the retail, but driven by a lot of interaction, connectivity, and giving them space where they can hang around.
Thanks. I think first time I've heard young infrastructure. That's the word you used. Can you give an instance of that? A round of applause first, please. I think 3 points: young infrastructure, creating spaces, and social spaces.
So what I meant is the infrastructure has to look young and premium, not young.
I know, but how do you do that? I think
So
it's
it's the design, you know. Sometimes you come out with a design which is very hereditary and which is very, which carries a legacy, and you know, you make it very premium. But is it different between, say, a BMW and a Mercedes? You know, how you position. Both are premium, but one is very, very young in look and feel, and one is having a legacy, you know, one targeting 50 plus and one targeting 25-year-old. So with India, with 65, 67% of population below 35, I don't think any brand, any infrastructure creator can look at a very rich infrastructure, but we can look at rich and young infrastructure. So that has to be carried forward. It has to connect to the youth.
Very nice.
You did connect to a youth. This is something I want to say. I've never said it publicly. I was in class 7 or 8. For the first time, I visited Inorbit Mall in Malad. And the aroma for Cookie Man that time caught me there. And that's when I thought I someday want to get into a food business. I want to have a store in a mall. So you did connect to the youth.
I will pass the message and appreciation to Patabi for this.
But Rajni sir, one quick thing which I really want you to touch upon also is in your Hyderabad mall, you have a mechanism that you started a year back where people can go, I mean, where there's a dedicated attendant who can go and take orders from the tables in the food court, and while you take the order, it's connected to the application of the software of the food court counter. And I think at least I can say for us, it's led to enhancement of sale because you can upsell there when you go there. You know, you can educate the consumer better because he's sitting. Some insight on that, what led to that, how the results for that have been, because that's also been a disruption.
So we started in Hyderabad, but the best results we got was in Vashi. And the operator who came on board is struggling to integrate with all the food court operators. So unless you have scale, you cannot really push the product. And secondary struggle that the partner had was on the manpower, which we have to overcome. I think there's a lot of resistance, and especially with the international QSR brand fraternity, because they have very complex technology running their software, and to allow a third-party integration is a big challenge for them. So again, go back to the point that keep it as simple as possible, because this business is a very simple business.
Keep it simple, make it wow.
I think, Sagar, since we have 100 CEOs and some are missing, and we have one which is missing on the list, can I ask Vinay also to contribute?
Please.
Hi, yeah. One thing which we have learned in this period primarily was the customer doesn't tolerate you wasting his time. So impatience is the name of the game, and therefore whatever we do, we have to communicate at the shortest possible time. And I think that is something which going forward will drive the entire business. And if I can communicate to the customer the way he reads on an online, my page for a product online, if I can communicate all those features in my offline store in a similar manner, because not every time can a store associate communicate it clearly in the same manner every time. So if that can be translated, that would be a great thing that one could look at in the next few years.
So Vinay, time spent in the store therefore no longer is a matrix? You want people to come in and just run out? I mean, how would you
I want them to enjoy their time.
I'm just provoking you, but
I want them to enjoy time, but at their expense. Okay. So whatever information they need, they should get immediately. And thereafter, if they want to spend more time, that's up to them. But I should not be wasting their time.
Sure. And you're making a very interesting point. You're saying UI, UX, and we didn't know those terms 2 decades back. That's relevant even from a physical store perspective.
Yes.
You know, the user interface, user experience is as relevant.
Yeah, because they are seeing that happening in online space. Yeah. And therefore, their expectation now increases. They want that much more information from the product when it is seen on the floor.
Sure.
How can I communicate to them equally well?
So you're saying if in Uber I get to know how many minutes I'll be taking and what is my price, if I'm used to that behavior, it'll somewhere reflect in my shopping behavior inside the store as well.
Yes, because impatience is there.
Okay, right. A big round of applause to Vinay, please, and thanks for pulling in. We would have anyway come, I think, the name.
I didn't see his name, so I just thought, since the mic is here, let me pull him
Yeah,
in.
please.
But
And
I
think,
completely agree with him that, and a lot of times when we shop and there is a KRA for the store manager or the cashier to enroll more and more members and push more and more promotion. I think the worst experience that I have on the floor is when somebody is unnecessarily pushing me a membership and unnecessarily pushing me a promotion. And I think somewhere part of the training, they have to be told, if customer is not interested, just let it go.
Sure. No, very insightful. I think from developers, let's move to a few more retailers. We have Mr. Amitabh Suri here, CEO USPA. If you can just raise your hand, sir.
there, Amitabh.
Okay, yeah. If you can pass the mic to Amitabh, sir, please.
Hi, good afternoon all. Very interesting session, thanks for it. My only submission, after hearing everyone, would be that post-COVID, what the brands have learned is to focus more on the quality versus the quantity. I think leading up from the last decade, we have seen an explosion of choices available to consumers across both brands and private label. And within brands are trying to become everything. They all want to become Superman and want to do casual, formal, ethnic. So I just felt that when we were kind of sitting back in our offices and figuring out our next level, we found that if we were to curate better merchandise, both online, offline, try and offer an experience to the consumer, try and build the legacy for which we stand on, and put that in front of the customer, maybe there's a different reaction. And to our luck, largely, is that we also began to premiumize our product. Now, for a brand like US Polo, we had headroom in terms of pricing, which is an advantage for us. We pushed that barrier. We tried to bring in product which was more expensive, but it deserved the price because it's higher in quality. And we found that the customers lap it up. And we grew rather well last year. And a lot of that came not via just quantity, but came down because of the quality of merchandise in terms of pricing, and discounting was largely controlled. So to me, the only learning which I had was that if we sometimes go back to the basic and not keep on looking forward in the crystal ball of the future and worry about technology and AI and these interesting aspects, and just become pure retailers. So there's one more journey which brands have, I think, transited because of no choice, was to become retailers versus wholesalers. Because we had a lot of people with cash in the system who were buying from us. And because of our brand equity, we were able to do that transaction. But when COVID came, a lot of purses dried up. And it was left, like Sangeeta mentioned, left to all of us to figure out our own lives. And I think we became retailers by chance. So that's my 2 bit. Thanks.
So I have a question. Sorry. Give us an inside peek. I totally agree with you. But if I'm your team member and I'm going to be influenced by, oh, these guys are doing this, these guys are doing that, and you're saying, no, let's focus back. How will you navigate my feedback? How will you build my conviction if I'm your team member? Because for me, the world is there. I'll go back and see what Pantaloon is doing or Bestseller is doing. But how are you going to say, okay, but stay focused? What is that?
That's a challenge I can't solve yet, but I'll give it a shot.
Sure.
I believe as leaders of our little businesses we run, we've got to keep the focus very clear. So every session of ours lives around a few matrix points. And if those are fulfilled, then those KPIs for the team is achieved. One of the biggest things, sir, is that we actually end up putting on too much pressure on the team.
Sure.
And we want them to fire on every possible KPI, knowing fully well that as CEOs, we can't fire them as well. So you got to be more realistic with the expectations on your team, and keeping that focus on what the KPIs for that period are more important. So it'll change. The funny part is my KPIs for last year versus my KPIs this year, they will alter, albeit not completely, but there will be certain focus points we'll drive. For us right now, it was at one point was increased productivity. SSPD was a mantra for us. Now it's not so much as SSPD, but sell-throughs, because inventories are becoming a concern. So it's a seasonal thing, as brands. Each KPI is important. Sometimes one shoots up, one shoots below. So that's how we keep, motivating our teams to work around it.
Sure. And for the gang here, I think we are talking to CEOs of some of the largest brands. You heard what he said. One, I don't know how to solve that problem when I asked him a question. And second, he said, everyone can't fire all KPIs. I think that's confidence to me and that's humility to me. A round of big applause for them here.
From
Thank you.
fashion, we'll move to beauty and wellness. Do we have Mr. C.K. Kumaravel, CEO and co-founder for Natural Salon and Spa? Yeah. Can someone please pass on the mic to sir?
Yeah, thanks for the interesting session, Sagar. And during first two of the waves, we were able to survive it well, and third wave, we were struggling. My daughter came to me, and I was borrowing funds for in the third wave. My daughter came and she said, "I thought you were rich. Why are you borrowing funds?" and that was a big, enlightenment for me. And after that, we started looking at very differently. I thought cash flow is your blood flow. As long as you have cash flow, business is good. And that's how I used to look at business. After that, I've completely changed. And the COVID is a wonderful opportunity to pause and reflect. There were a lot of adjacent opportunities around us. We could have saved a lot of money. We could have made a lot of new businesses. Because we were in a hurry, we were running like that. COVID made us to pause, used WhatsApp marketing, and we focused on retailing. After that, we focused on what Sangeeta was talking about, gig economy. We are also now integrating that weekend businesses. We are recruiting special people for that. And we are now focusing on nails and beyond in a new business model. Like that, we have started looking at business. And now we are looking at profitability a lot more. And that's the learning from COVID, and it has worked wonderfully for us.
What is it that you're doing that all your daughter's friends come and visit your spas and salons?
Yeah,
that'll be interesting to know.
Yeah, that's the nails. That's the new trend.
Okay.
I was not at all aware that that could be such a big market. The market for two things have happened during the COVID. One is the youngsters have started looking at this kind of opportunities, and the older people, the blur between the salon and the doctor, the dermatologist, have started blurring. And a lot of people, the dermatologists, have started doing facials. And we thought it is a good idea to do some of the work, and that's also is working well for us.
Sure.
So from fashion to salon, I think let's get someone from the food. We have Mr. Mahesh Reddy here, CEO Go Pizza. Are you around, sir? Right at the back. And I think we also have Tarak. So Tarak and Mahesh, if you all can quickly wrap up the food part. I'm sorry, we are less on time. That'll be the last that we could have for now.
Hi, I'm Mahesh Reddy.
I'm yet before 12:30 though, so keeping the QSR pace.
Hi,
but
I'm
yeah.
Mahesh Reddy, the CEO for Go Pizza. It's a South
Mr.
Korean-
We
Mahesh.
can't hear you. I think there's something wrong in the mic.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, I'm Mahesh Reddy, the CEO for Go Pizza. It's a South Korean company. We are happy to have a problem, which is an opportunity. The happiness is, after post-COVID, all of us are growing in the F&B, and all of us are competing with each other. And the problem, what we are facing is the front end. And I feel, because now I handle Singapore and Korea and Indonesia also. At Singapore and all, we have about 60 years people who are working in the outlets. We are lucky that at least our average age is 30, 35 only. The competition between all of us after post-COVID is that everybody is growing and everybody wants to expand. Everybody has got funding. So it's a good problem to have that we all are growing. But the problem is that front end is a challenge because all of us are following minimum wage. All of us are following the compliances. But the challenge is how do we get the trained person? How do we get the boy who speaks good English, who looks good? Then he goes to call center, or should he comes to QSR? Should he goes to this? Should he goes to Wamomo? Should he goes to Mado Donut? Should he goes to Pizza Hut? So it's a competition among all of us. So this is the problem which we have now, and this is the problem going to become big. So I only see technology only as a solution.
So quickly, Mahesh, you are competing with Domino's, Pizza Hut, which are like established players in the Indian economy. Like Jubilant is one of the best in QSR, gold standard. One thing that you feel could be a disruption and you could differentiate from the other two larger players with Go Pizza? Quickly, maybe one word, one line.
Yeah, we are a food tech company. So with the technology, AI and robotics, there's a difference. And our pizza itself is oval shape. We we have a good USP that's shape, size, speed, service. We serve pizza in 5 minutes. So we will disturb them.
So that's a disruption. Amazing. Big round of applause, guys. And Tarak, quickly, to Mad Over Donuts, and then we'll wrap it up.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tarak Bhattacharya. I represent Mad Over Donuts. Since people are talking about AI, tech, etc., let me talk a little bit about consumer experience. I think what used to happen 3 years back and previously what I used to learn that consumer usually talk with their feet. You know, if they don't like the product, service, imagery at the store, hygiene levels, etc., they don't come back. So basically, they talk with their feet. But then cut back to 2023 now, I think people have started talking with their fingers. Sorry, not this one, actually this one, on their mobile phone. So I think that's the disruption I think we are talking about. So that I think it's very important that on the mobile phone, whatever they are seeing, they see it right. Maybe your customer rating or the product what you are wanting to display. So I think that's what I'm talking about, the customer experience at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarak. Sorry, we were a little distracted because we've been reminded that time is up. So what we're going to do is quickly, for the rest of the gang who listen, what are the key words which stick out? Just mention any keywords which stick out. I'll go first saying gig economy, right? That's the first. Any other points which you guys picked up, guys and girls picked up? Anything which you picked up from the morning leader sessions? I know we were supposed to meet 100, but we couldn't do 100. Yes, go for it. Yamani? The blurring line between spa and the dermatologist. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Sorry, omni-channel. Okay, omni-channel. There you go. We can't solve all KPIs. Fantastic. Sorry, less is more. Wow.
Young look for the malls.
Young look for the malls. Yes, and young infrastructure. Impatience is the name of the game. As in build, make sure that you work on impatience and solve for it. Yeah. Focus on the core quality, right? Speed is the need. Yes, speed is the need. Yeah. Social spaces are important. Wow.
Maybe a space for startups too.
COVID also taught us,
UI, UX for physical stores. Fantastic. Yeah.
I said COVID also taught us that,
Okay, right, yeah.
That the top line is vanity, the bottom line is sanity, and the cash is reality. So, post that, when every brands like ours, Kama Ayurveda, we realized in that pause that it's very important to be agile, very, very important to be collaborative. Collaborative within the company, agile with our partners, with our products, and collaborate within the channels which do business. I think that was a great, great learning.
I think one reason that we all are here and having this digital retail convention is that I think during COVID, we've all survived COVID. We've been agile, we've been nimble-footed. So a big round of applause to all of us here.
Yeah. And I think I think the points which came were wonderful. I think to the CEOs who participated, each point has got registered. Big, big surprise. So let's give a big round of applause to people who listened very intently. Good show.
And sincere apologies if we missed out anyone. We had to wrap it up in time.
We're just 1.5 hours late is what we've been told. So I think we'll kind of make sure that we're coming in the way of a very important session now. So over to you.
Thank you, guys.